Begin by thanking the Senator from Maryland and the Senator from Maine for your extraordinary leadership in bringing us here today to speak out on this issue. For over 20 years, our military has said that it has a zero-tolerance policy towards sexual violence. Government agencies have put out 20 reports examining the problem and suggesting potential solutions. And yet, shamefully, incidents of sexual assault involving our military personnel continue at staggering rates. Data from the Department of Defense indicate that thousands of men and women serving in the military are subject to these horrific experiences every year. More than 20% of women serving in the military have reported unwanted sexual contact at some point during the course of their military service. And perhaps most shameful, about half of all female victims in a 2012 DoD survey indicated they did not report these crimes because they believed that such reports would simply be ignored. This is an outrageous situation. We have called on the military over and over to solve this problem, and they have failed. Simply calling once again on the military to reform will be an exercise in futility. Worse, it will be a breach of trust with the men and women who are future victims of sexual predators lurking in the military. These are important steps forward that we take today. We take the number of extremely strong provisions to address sexual assault included in this year's National Defense Authorization Act will move us in the right direction. These provisions are designed to crack down on sexual assaults, to better protect and advocate for victims, and to change the climate within our military to one that ends this despicable conduct. The bill includes provisions to promote the prosecution of these cases by eliminating the statute of limitations on certain sexual offense cases and by limiting the ability of commanding officers to modify court-martial findings in sexual offense cases. The bill requires the provision of a special victims counsel to provide legal support for service members who are victims of sexual violence at the hands of other members of the military, and takes steps to limit the potential for victims to be mistreated by defense counsel. There are other important steps forward in this bill, and as the Senate debates the defense bill, we will consider additional provisions to prosecute and eliminate sexual assault. I support those efforts as well. The issue of sexual violence within our armed forces is very personal to me. All three of my brothers served in the military. My oldest brother was career military and flew 288 combat missions in Vietnam. I know the unbelievable sacrifices that our military men and women make for this country and the sacrifices their families make to support them. And yet, in spite of those sacrifices, we as a nation have consistently refused to take sufficient steps to ensure that our military men and women are protected from sexual violence on the job. Tolerance for sexual assaults demeans the sacrifices that millions of brave men and women have stepped forward to make on our behalf. We owe it to our service members and to their families to change the culture in our military that remains far too tolerant of this abuse. We owe it to our service members and to their families to do everything in our power to stamp out these incidents. No matter the outcome of this week's amendment votes, this year's Defense Authorization Act will make significant strides toward finally making the military's zero-tolerance policy a reality. I am proud to support these efforts, and I promise that so long as these crimes continue to occur, so long as victims are fearful to come forward, so long as justice is denied to victims, I promise that we will be back right here next year and the year after that and the year after that, doing everything we can to end sexual assault in the military. The brave men and women serving in our armed forces have no intention of giving up on us, and we have no intention of giving up on them. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield my time.